Our former owner decided to close the doors. We announced it in the paper. And every day after that, man, we had little old ladies and men calling us, crying. Wow. Y'all are all I've got. We're really here to serve a very vulnerable population that I feel like the modern world is pretty quick to maybe just sweep under the rug. I see elderly people suffer and feeling like they're not important. Nobody needs them anymore, and that's just awful. They're not as strong, they move a little slow, they'll talk your head off, but they're living human beings that matter, and I'm gonna fight for them. I know our buildings look a little, worn out and stuff too, but this place isn't dead.
I remember the first time I ever flew on an airplane. As we flew across the country, I remember looking out the window the whole time, my nose just pressed against the glass, sort of surveying the land below me. I remember having this strange sense of duty to dedicate myself in some way to helping.
Opioid addiction reaching epidemic levels, moving fire to parts of California.
Breaking news, at least 9 people killed overnight, but a massacre.
As I grew older, I ended up raising a family and becoming a lawyer and ultimately becoming CEO of Chipotle Mexican Grill.
And it's a vision to change food culture.
One of the things I liked best was interacting with thousands and thousands of people over the years and really getting to know them. Loads of different people from very different walks of life. The more I got to know, the more convinced I was that, man, we're all very much the same in so many ways. And you wouldn't know that from what we see on TV or hear on the radio. All that stuff suggests that we're very divided, that we're not united at all, that we're all about disagreement, that we're all about arguing, that we're all about fighting. But I think the truth is just the opposite. There's a great deal more that unites us. What I want to do with this docuseries is to tell the stories of people who might never be seen or heard, and to help bring the wisdom from many people from many different walks of life so that everyone has access to it. In some ways, I'm still just that small boy with my nose pressed against the glass, looking down at this beautiful place we all live, and wanting to do some good. Wanting to demonstrate that there's a lot more that unites us than divides us. West Virginia is the only state that lies fully within the boundaries of Appalachia. It's a place steeped in a history as rich and deep as its forests and valleys. I haven't spent much time in this part of our country, and I really don't know what to expect. So, armed with curiosity and a desire to better understand this place, I've come to McDowell County, which is often cited as the poorest county in the United States of America. As I first drive into the area, I notice the quiet beauty of the place. The road winds up a seemingly endless, misty forest valley, with steep, quiet hills rising on both sides of me, cradling me in a quiet solitude. These are the hollers of West Virginia. As we continue deeper into the mountains, we begin to pass some old towns. Elbert, Gary, Anawalt, Welch, the heart of coal country. The epicenter of what once was among the most thriving economies of a young United States of America, filled with men who took extreme pride in mining the coal, which made the steel that built the infrastructure of a great nation. Most of the skyscrapers, and even the country's fleet of great naval vessels, were made possible by the almost unimaginable grit of the men and women who either worked in these mines or supported those who did. All the while, I see evidence of the remains of a more prosperous time. We wind past empty storefronts in the small towns, which once supplied a bustling community, but now sit silent and empty. From the outside, the Welch Daily News might have been one more casualty, but as soon as I opened the door, I found a different story. I was immediately greeted by Derek Tyson, the 29-year-old editor of the 93-year-old newspaper.
Welcome to the Welch News. We're very old school, Monty.
Well, that's neat. I know so little about newspapers and publishing, so it'll all be new to me.
Well,
it'll be an education.
Right here, we actually still put our pages together on
cool.
old layout cards. And after the page is dropped on here, it goes to this ancient camera.
Oh, how neat!
And we take the picture, and it's a...
Where's the lens? Like
that right there, right here.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, I stick out around here. Most of my generation's not here anymore, and the few of us that are mostly work here.
Okay.
We've got a almost millennial workforce here in the newspaper, so that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is.
They've called me an old soul since I was a small boy, so...
Holy smokes, look at that.
Yep, that's our sweet baby right there.
That is amazing.
Yep. It's a 1966 model. You never ever want to break your web because then you have to run this through all...
Oh, no.
It's something to watch. You'll come down here and Larry's up in the ceiling.
Oh, so if
the
that got torn right now, that's bad.
Yep, and every time we change a roll, we have to re-web.
You have to fish it all the way through all that stuff.
Yeah.
How long does that take?
A while, and
hour?
normally right in the middle of deadline when it happens. Too.
I'm sure, that's, of course, right?
Right.
Oh my God.
And I've born and raised right here in Welch, but really I love the entire county.
Yeah.
I mean, every community's beautiful in its own way. If you Google McDowell County, you still see like I think they're Library of Congress photos. They had somebody come in and shoot back in the welfare beginning days. And yes, there's barefoot children living in shacks. They're old camp houses. They're old slat board houses, but it looks rough. And I think in some ways people still think we live like that. But it's like, nah, man, I got that flat screen TV and everything too. Like, you know,
tablet and internet.
Right. Like, I've got a cell phone, believe it or not, man. And, you know, and people, they hear the way we talk a lot. I actually have a lot of anxiety about speaking because of my accent. And I know how I sound. I say I instead of I. And stuff like that. But honestly, we have a more evolved language, I think. We can say 3 words in one sound, I think, sometimes.
That is efficiency for you.
Right. We're efficient people. Yeah.
Right. But do you think people judge because of your accent? They judge you in a certain way?
Absolutely. I think sometimes it's easy when you hear a country person speak to think that we're not intelligent. But, or that, you know, we've just been up a holler our whole lives. But I've been to England and France and, you know, I've been all over the place, man.
And it sounds like you've read a ton of books. And
God, yes.
Yeah, you know a lot about history and
that's my escape.
Philosophy. And,
Right. I'm well read.
Yeah, but those stereotypes hurt.
Absolutely.
Not just you, but do you think that they hurt the community?
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's nothing wrong with us. You know, it's been tough here. The people that settled this land, they were tough people because there was nothing here. That resilience kind of turned into I think a collective pride in our people that
was passed down.
Yeah, we eked out an existence, you know, out of the land of rock, pretty much.
So being weak and complaining a lot were not characteristics that got you very far.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
And a sense of being a victim was not something that was very popular either, it sounds like.
We're survivors.
You know, you mentioned earlier, I think you said Zen hillbilly, is that what you said?
Zen redneck.
Zen redneck, okay.
I'm proud of the redneck term, and I really want to rebrand that too. I mean, to me, it's a symbol of grit and resilience, and I'm going to survive when everybody else is gone.
Well, there is a lot of pride here about that, isn't there?
Yeah, it comes from the strikes and the mine wars. They wore red bandanas.
Oh, is that where it
around
comes
their
from?
necks?
Oh,
yes.
okay. When they were striking?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. I didn't even know that that's where the term.
So that's where it comes from. It comes back to the coal mine. Everything ties back to the mining industry.
Sounds like
really
it.
here. We mined all the coal that made the steel that built every city pretty much. They do call us the county that built the country.
The county that built the country.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I was born June 11th, 1941, at Thorpe number 5 on number 5 Hill in house number 1 by Doc Coulon, U.S. Steel doctor.
That's where it all began.
Yeah, I got 6 brothers and 5 sisters,
How long did you work in the mines?
37 years. I was machine operator underground. I run a continuous miner about 25 years. That's the man up there digging that coal.
You run the machine that digs
Yes.
it? Okay.
It wasn't no remote control miner, it's one you sit on. Got
That's-
about 20 different valves there to operate.
Oh, okay. And is it a
It's
a
got
bucket?
bits on it. It's got bits on it, rock backwards and forwards like it, and got a loader underneath of it, gathering up the coal. And it goes out a conveyor line into a shuttle car, and they take it, put it on a belt or in a mine car.
Was your job considered a good job?
I was top paid.
Okay.
Now, continuous miner operator was top paid, and this is all union time.
Well, I worked at the cleaning plant, processing plant down here where they cleaned the coal and shipped it. And then it was shipped into the railroad car for shipping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we'd run about 10 to 12,000 tons of coal was shipped through the plant down here.
Every
As being cleaned and processed. And
every day?
just about every day, unless we had breakdown or something happened, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many train cars full is that?
Well, that's about 100 cars.
Oh, wow. 100 cars a day.
Yeah, them train, the railroad cars held about 100 tons.
Wow. I mean, how many days a week did you work in the mines?
5, 6, 7. Sometimes double back on the next man's shift and work 16 hours. It's called swing shift.
Okay.
You work 2 weeks day, 2 weeks evening, 2 weeks midnight. You didn't know when to go to bed or eat.
Oh, so your internal clock was messed up all the time.
But sometimes, like I was a continuous miner operator. I remember one day, the boy that run the machine behind me got his leg broke. And the super asked me if I'd go back because it didn't have nobody in that boy's place. And I'll go home and get you something to eat, bring it back for you. And he brought me a mayonnaise and banana sandwich.
Worst thing you ever had?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
U.S. Steel had people hired to go overseas and bring people here because they didn't have the manpower.
Yeah, because then
We had all nationalities.
It was a melting pot. I mean, we got every nationality at one point was here. If you go to the old cemeteries, you start to see like all the last names. We worked and we died beside each other. And I think in a way, that brought us all together.
We was just like one big family. You'd go out and leave your doors unlocked, go in where you want to go, and everybody looked out for everybody.
yeah.
To
yeah.
go to the bank for them or go to the grocery store for them, you don't think twice about it.
Yeah.
You get in the car and go.
Popoviches, Wachahuskies, Sakoshes, Mianos, you name it. Go down the graveyard. Read all them names over in the graveyard.
So it was a super, super diverse community, huh?
I bet your dollar you can't read all them names. I don't care how much college education you got.
Did you like working? Did you like being a coal miner?
Yes.
What-
I'd
what'd
go
you-
back, if I was younger, I'd go back today.
And why did you like it?
It's good money, raise my family. It just seemed like the right thing to do.
And what was it like living here at that time?
It's like New York City.
At one point, we had 100,000 people in this city.
Holy
We actually
smokes.
were a city.
I haven't seen around much, but I've seen it's not very big. 100,000 people.
But they said you had to drive around town for 2 hours to find a parking spot.
People everywhere?
Everywhere. Used to be a big clubhouse right here. You could load a whole school bus right here on the side of the road.
Any department store you wanted, we had it. Cato's, Penny's. We had 2 movie shows, one on each side of the street. We had any restaurants you wanted, any car lot. Anything you wanted, we had it here. Grocery stores, some of the best dress stores in town, and men's smart shops. Had them all.
We were powerful. Presidents came here, you know, on their campaign trails. One time we could swing an election when we had that many people.
This here is the Garrett Country Club. U.S. Steel built this. This was their clubhouse, dining rooms, restaurants, dance halls, locker rooms for the golfers. This is the old U.S. Steel Company store.
Every town had a store, a company store. You could buy everything you needed in that store. Pots, pans, dishes, clothes, anything you wanted. It was in there. Groceries. They had
Were those
all
all supplied by U.S. Steel? Those
Yes,
the
yes.
company stores?
Yes. Every camp had one.
Yeah.
Every camp. And I mean, that's like 6, 10, 9, 14, Gary, everywhere had one. Wilco had a store. Everybody had one.
And were they plenty busy?
Oh, yes. Yes, because you had a lot of people.
Yeah.
You live in a company house just like U.S. Steel. They made their own electricity. If you rented a house from them, it was about $17 a month. That was water, electricity. It'd bring your house cold to you to keep your house warm.
We didn't pay for nothing, but nobody lived in them houses but miners or somebody worked
So I
for
worked
U.S.
for
Steel.
U.S. Steel.
They got the good houses.
Yeah, and I mean the bosses, stuff like that, got the ones that was
Had the
updated,
running
had the
water and the
bathrooms, stuff
showers
like
and
that.
stuff.
Just the regular miners had to take the double house. These houses used to be 2 houses. One house, but 2 families in
Right.
split.
Right.
They kind of enslaved the coal miners originally because the coal companies had the money. They would put up the company store and they paid you in script that you could only spend at their store.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
and so they pretty much trapped people in that system. And that ended up creating a lot of resentment as that passed through generations. You know, I still hear people today, they'll sing that old song like, I owe my soul to the company store.
I've heard that
Yeah.
song.
You still hear people saying, my dad used to sing that all the time and told them, don't you dare be a coal miner. We got really used to having everything here, and I think we really based our identity in that a lot. We were so powerful at one time, and we flew too close to the sun.
So can you talk to me about what happened when the coal mines closed? How the community changed? What happened?
But where in the world would I start?
We kind of built our whole life around one industry, and when you take that industry out, jobs are being lost.
When U.S. Steel shut down here, they had signs up and putting things in the newspapers. Everybody was going to North Carolina to get them a job. The company started tearing the houses down. There's no telling how many houses been tore down here in Gary Holler.
Why were they tearing the houses down?
Well, just get rid of the upkeep on them, I guess.
When U.S. Steel went out of business in 1986, the first store to close was Army Supply. And then they went about one right behind the other, just started going.
Did it happen pretty quick?
2-year period of time,
It really changed.
it really changed.
Businesses pulled out, and you know, we're pretty much left with just local operations now. And I think that identity that we once had is definitely the root cause of the troubles we're having now.
So there's a lot of looking to the past.
Absolutely.
And pride for what was,
Yeah.
and therefore despair for what is. Where once McDowell was setting records in terms of production and efficiency, now it's setting records no one is proud of. In 1961, the first recipients of modern-era food stamps were residents of McDowell County, making this once thriving community the birthplace of what President Kennedy called the war on poverty. McDowell now has the very shortest life expectancy for both men and women of all 3,142 counties in the United States. It also has the highest rate of drug-induced deaths of any county in the United States, more than 10 times the national average. In 2018, West Virginia ranked the lowest median household income in the country and one of the highest rates of federal assistance. In a county which had bustled with a population of 100,000, only 18,000 remain. When did you leave?
I left right after school.
Right after high school?
86, I was gone.
Okay, and so 86. So you were 18 years old, and why'd you leave?
Nothing was around here to do. I mean, as far as job-wise, like everything had started to go down. Transportation is not readily available. Like we don't have taxis and we don't have city buses that run, and it just became depressing. Like when I started to visit,
So you'd come back here and visit your family?
more people, yeah, more people had left. Like the community was just deteriorating. The people in my age group had already started to leave. Had already left or had started to leave, and then all these drugs came in. And that
How? How?
I don't know. I think drugs are worse today than it's ever been.
We've got meth and problems now, like crack, heroin. You see a lot of kids being raised by their grandparents now, things like that. And
Because their parents are on drugs?
or gone.
Or gone from drugs?
Completely, yeah.
It's that prevalent, huh?
Well, it started with Generation X around here, and a lot of them aren't alive anymore. And growing up here in the 90s, it was bad. I knew a lot of people that lost their lives to it.
I'd spend $500 a day on cocaine, you know. I wanted it. I wanted my toenails wanted it. Everything about me wanted that drug.
All day, every day?
All day, every day, yes.
What was it like living like that?
Oh, it was horrible. I went so far down I couldn't run my business. I couldn't even drive. I don't know how I survived.
I've had 2 wives, died, and 3 kids.
How did that happen?
Drugs.
All 3 kids?
Yeah.
Sorry. How did that drug thing get started?
How to get started? Everybody around here is on it. You couldn't hire 10 men today if you wanted to in the whole county that you could depend on to put them on a job.
Because there's so much drugs.
Well, the government's giving too much money away.
Oh, you think it's because of all the free money the government's
Well,
providing?
that's a big help.
So a lot of people are getting some kind of assistance from the government?
Got to be. They don't work.
Is that common around here?
What's that?
A lot of people on government checks?
Yes,
What percentage, if you had to guess?
a big percentage. You see less people working and more people drawing a check.
What do you think about that?
I think it's sad.
Why is it so?
I think it's sad because I don't think that a lot of people want to work.
Why not?
I think they fall into this slump or get into this thing of, it's an easy way out, you know? Such and such draws a check. I can get a check.
We definitely have several generations of people that have been on federal assistance like that. And maybe it's a pattern that they've learned.
Grandma was on some sort of program. Mom and Dad was on some sort of program, so that's all they knew. That's all they know. It's the norm. That's a negative seed that's planted that because they can do I was born and raised in Appalachian, and I've owned several businesses, and they can too, if someone explains to them that they can.
Why do you want to check? Why don't you want to work? Like, if you don't work, then what are you doing for all that available time? Are you sleeping? Nothing comes to sleepers but dreams. So what are you really doing with your life if you're not working?
All human behavior is learned behavior. These kids haven't had the opportunity to learn those things because it hasn't been in their life. We can if we think we can. If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Either way.
Either way.
I want McDowell County to take its own destiny into its own hands. I think most of our problems around here could really be changed by people stepping up and saying, I want to take over this community. I think sometimes we get so caught up in who we were that we don't think about who we still could be.
This is the old Gary High School. It was built in 1913.
Okay.
But the gym was built in 1938.
Oh, okay. So it's a later edition.
Right. And our people, our community, still calls it the new gym. Okay?
1938, brand new, 80 years
1938. Now, I can tell you, that's 82 years ago.
Yeah.
Because that's the year I was born.
You're 82?
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah.
aren't.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm 82.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Oh, I didn't think you were anywhere. I didn't think you were anywhere close to 82.
Yeah, I am. I have an assistant, Miss Marjay. She runs the place. Marjay and she contacted me, or I contacted her via computer, and then she came to visit, and a little girl was here. They just connected. They walked up, hugged each other, and walked down the hall.
Her name was Julie, and she walked right up to me and she said, "Are you gonna leave like everybody else does?" And I mean, this child is standing here, she's waiting for an answer. She is serious. And I told her, I said, "Well, Julie, I don't know." I said, "I just came to see the place." She said, "Well, what did you come to see?" I said, "I'll be here a couple of days." And I said, "I'll hang out with you or whatever you want to do." And I did. And so the day I got ready to leave, she didn't come. So I left, and all the way home, all I could see was that child's face. And I called Jack, and I came back, and I've been here ever since.
But did she ever see you when you first came back?
I had not seen her. She got caught up in the foster care system. They took her from her mom and everything. The child didn't have a bed. I mean, she lived a very hard life. Mother not taking care of her, more concerned about drinking and all that kind of stuff. And last year, I was standing outside, and I heard this voice say, "Miss Marjay, Miss Marjay, Miss Marjay," and it was Julie.
When Gary High School shut down, Jack saw an opportunity to bring it back to life. He bought the building and founded what he and Marjay call the School for Life, a place where local kids can learn skills, exercise, and be part of a community outside of their public school education. Jack and Marjay are no strangers to hard times, but their struggles have taught them valuable lessons. One is that the greatest satisfaction in life comes from helping others. So they've dedicated their lives to the children of McDowell County. Another lesson is that the most important thing these children need isn't money. What they need is someone to show an interest in them, to love them, to give them a vision of a bright future, while challenging them to find ways to contribute and feel the resulting sense of value and self-esteem.
After a long day.
When I hear that you bought a 65,000 square foot school building, it strikes me that, wow, you must be really rich.
No. This building was, if I tell you, you promise not to tell anybody.
Except for whoever watches what you're saying right now.
Whoever watches. We paid $100 for this entire thing.
You paid $100?
$100 for this building.
For a 65,000 square foot building?
Yeah. But I'm assuming that they'd rather us have it and use it than tear it down, because it would have cost them money to tear it down.
Well, isn't that wonderful? So you came and bought this building for $100?
$100 is what we paid.
For real?
This. Yes.
And you own it?
Yes, we have a deed to it.
That's amazing.
Hallelujah.
So you can do a lot of good with a little money if you do it, if you use it correctly.
Oh my goodness, yes. We do a lot of good with just a little bit of money.
Kids are smart, they're intelligent, but they're never told that, see? They're never told that. One of my little girls, when I first got here, the first thing she walked up to me and she said, "Miss Marjay, I'm poor." And I told her, I said, "No, you're not." She said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "No, you're not. You're not old enough to be poor." She said, "Well, that's what they tell me." Children believe what you tell them. If you tell them you're healthy and happy and I'm going to be successful, that's what you be. None of my kids have a traditional family. They're raised by grandparents or aunts and uncles or something like,
Not one of your 30 kids has a
traditional mother and father home. Not one.
Not one.
Not one. Not one. The children in the community have always come to the school. They have always. This has been a place for them to hang out and do whatever they do, always. All of our shops, the children earn money. These children make big money in here. They get tips and all kinds of things. This is their business. They own it, and they're proud of it. You know why? Because they were given something that they say, this is ours. Yeah. We run it. We make the money. The first restaurant that I opened up, I lost everything I had, everything. They were repossessing my car and my furniture at the same time. And so when you tell me that you can't do something, or I can't do this because I'm not the one to tell. You're
not a very sympathetic ear for that?
I don't want to hear it. And I told them, I said, I've been homeless. And they said, well, you don't look like you've been homeless. I don't wear the scars of being homeless.
What's your secret?
Determination. You can do anything you want to, if you want to. And all of them are CEOs in training. I will not let them think any other way. No other way. My grandmother had a huge family. She had 12 kids.
Oh my gosh! Mm-hmm. Oh wow!
Never good. And she had
probably always busy.
But I mean, always working, always doing something. You know, she did everything perfectly in my eyesight. Mm-hmm. There was nothing that she didn't do that was perfect. I mean, she could cook a meal and her kitchen was spotless. I can cook one meal and my kitchen is tore up, you know, that kind of thing. But just very, very good people. And she always shared things with me. She always took time to sit down and talk to me.
And tell me how that blossomed into your attitude.
Okay, let me tell you something my grandmother taught me. And I watched her do it all of her life. Grandma said you can plant a seed. My children have infected their guardians and their...
So you're teaching kids.
Mm-hmm.
And those kids are going out into the community and oftentimes teaching their guardians and creating a change in behavior in the adults.
The parents,
so the leadership comes through the child back into the family. It's obvious that you've become a leader. I mean, you are a leader. So I think that maybe what you're teaching kids is more than just an alternative to getting on the check. It's a reason why that alternative is better.
Well, it gives them a life. They're happier, they're motivated, they're excited, they're positive. We teach them how to be positive.
What is that lesson?
We bring the kids in and we're teaching them how to create and design a simple thing like a t-shirt, but we'll also teach them how to market that, how to set up a company. CEO in training.
Yeah, right. But you haven't brought a bunch of money in this.
No.
Have you? I mean, you haven't come and dumped money on everybody.
And I'm not going to.
And do you think it would help if you did?
No. No.
So
No,
we need
I don't
need
think-
more people like you to bring.
I think it helps to show them how they can earn money.
Yeah.
These children are little young entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They can take that knowledge, get through school, graduate, and then realize, hey, wait a minute, I ran a business. Every person has a use. I don't think anything should be thrown away, including a person. My grandmother was a big person on love and what true love was. She said, you'll never love anybody until you love yourself.
Right.
She said, if you don't like who you are, you will never truly love anyone else.
The people of West Virginia have long lived a life of hardship and struggle. Coal mining was extremely tough and dangerous work, often resulting in people being injured or losing loved ones. But that hardship forged strong people and enduring relationships. People banded together to face life's challenges. They took care of each other. And the reality is that the very things that cause them to struggle also unite them as friends, neighbors, and as a community.
Really, I can relate a lot to the people around here. We're all just trying to escape pain. I lost my grandmother. I lost 2 uncles. They both OD'd. And then my dad, he actually killed himself when I was 16.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And as far as I understand, my dad had a plan, though. He and his buddy that he grew up with here, they were going to work their life away, and then they were going to retire in Florida, open a bar, and go off into the sunset. And I think they had a pact that when it got to the end and it wasn't fun anymore, that they were going to kill themselves. But then he had me. And I like to think I probably kept him here longer than if I hadn't been here.
Yeah.
He was a local entrepreneur, pretty much a local legend here in town.
Was he?
My dad actually owned a mine, and we've got probably the biggest HUD housing operation here in town. His dad never told him that he loved him. He died on his deathbed and didn't tell my dad he loved him.
Wow.
My dad told me he loved me 20 to 30 times a day, and he just doted on me to the point where it gets embarrassing, like, Dad, my friends are watching this. Please stop doing this.
Well, lucky you.
Right, so he reacted to that, but Dad, obviously, that affected him his entire life. Some dads check out. They're still out there. Mine decided that I'm gone forever, you know, and I'd say a lot of my problems, Monty, go back to that, of me not feeling like I'm worthy. I remember the last phone call. He had been in the shower and heard the phone, and he asked, was that you that just called? And I said, no, Dad, it wasn't me. And he was like, oh, okay, I was just making sure. Why didn't I lie and tell him it was me? I love my dad. He's my hero. Like, he'll always be my hero.
Yeah.
But that cycle can't continue. Somebody's got to sit there and just grit their damn teeth and take it.
Yeah.
Because you can't pass on a legacy like that. It's not fair to the kids.
No.
And the thought of another human feeling worthless, like I like to feel all the time. I gotta learn to love myself, I guess, a little more. But I guess with the Welch News, I'm trying to convince McDowell County to love itself again, too. I feel like as the editor of the newspaper, I'm trying to rekindle the fire that I've seen snuffed out of people, because I've had mine snuffed out, and it's really hard to light it yourself. Just trying to build the community up and convince people that they're worth it, that they're good enough just as they are. You can't miss Sheila. I mean, you hear her before you see her. She's got a big booming voice that we all love. You know, she's one of my favorite people to see coming in the door.
How many issues do you deliver?
366.
366 families get the paper from you? 3 days a week?
3 days a week. Even in the winter when the snow's up.
That sounds almost impossible. So you know everybody.
Oh, yeah. I got people that are 70, 80, and 90 that can tell you everything that's in that newspaper, from the front page to the last page. They read it all.
I can't help but be hopeful about the place because there are so many people trying to do good things here.
I had met Jack. He said that he would like to come do some work around my house and stuff. And I was thinking, he's not gonna do that. You know, that's never gonna happen for me. I came home from work one evening, and the kid said, Mom, this white man and this black lady came to the house in this old truck, and they wanted you, and they pull up. And I come to the door, and I immediately knew who it was. He said, I've only been out here about 4 or 5 times looking for you. He said, but I forgot what time you told me that you got home. He said, so I've been coming looking for you in the morning times and in the middle of the day. He said, so I was up this way, and I just took a chance to stop by. And I was like, well, I'm glad you did. And he was like, so tell me a little bit about the house, you know what? I said, well, you see the porch. Oh, God, it was bad, bad.
People ask me where do I live up here at Elbert, and I said I live up number 8 where civilization ends. Nothing else up but the bears and the squirrels and the deers.
This is all smoked up from the old coal
This is
stove.
smoked up with an old coal stove.
All of this was just a black dungeon. He had no bathroom, and his kitchen was pretty much gone.
And Jack was like, in a couple of months, I'd like to bring this crew out. And I was like, okay, that's fine, just whatever they can do, you know, just any little thing of help. And then literally, like the next week, here's Jack with people.
It was like I won a sweepstakes. Man, I'm just not used to so much love, you know.
When things go bad in people's lives, a lot of people do feel like they're alone. You're never alone. You know, we have to learn how to love one another.
Love can build a bridge between your heart and mine, Love can build a bridge. Don't you think it's time? Don't you think it's time? Hallelujah.
All right, there we go.
All right.
I think we all have this mental image that drives us in our minds. And I also think that most of our unhappiness is created by that image when our life doesn't quite match up to it. We spend so much time running from our problems when we should just stand there and face them.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I think that that's one thing I've seen really strongly in my very short time here so far, and that is the people I've talked to have had that moment of turning to actually face their problems, walk through their problems, even though it felt like they were walking on hot coals at that moment, or walking through a storm.
Right.
But they've gotten through that storm. Mm-hmm. All of them had sort of this sense of life is hard, has been hard, but then I got through the hardest parts, and when I get through the hardest parts, there's a clearing where I go, hey, life's still worth it, life's still beautiful, it's still magical. And it seems like all of us in life have the opportunity, to get through whatever that storm is, that personal storm of ours, to get to the other side, so to speak, where there is that beauty. And when we get to the other side and the grass looks green and the sky looks blue and this fence looks beautiful, we can assure ourselves there's more storms coming, But maybe we can approach those next storms or difficulties or bouts of depression or anxiety or frustration with a bit more of openness, knowing that, I've been here before and I know that storms come every now and then. Right. I know that depression comes every now and then. I know that frustration comes every now and then. Yeah. But on the other side, there's this awakened, beautiful, open, loving feeling of grace.
This is more than a building to me. It's a legacy. It still looks rough, and there's so much work to be done, but Dad lived here. This is actual marble.
Wow, so it is. Look at that.
It was a really nice luxury hotel. Presidents were even here.
Wow.
And the hardest thing is I lost Dad, and I couldn't even face this apartment.
Yeah.
And I left all his stuff in here, thinking it'd be safe. Yep. A year later, the building caught on fire. My favorite spot's definitely up on the roof, though.
Your story has taught, me already so much and reinforced, I think, that which is most important in life, which is this notion of finding what's right now, leads
absolutely.
To a lot of strength. But, to be in sort of a holler or a valley between steep mountains, in a way, it sort of forces the immediacy of the moment, right?
Yeah.
You don't see the storm coming, and you can't go, hey, let's batten down the hatches, the storm's coming. You've sort of got the sky, a small section of the sky you can see at any given moment. Yeah. You got the mountains around you, which are solid, and they've been there for millions of years.
Right.
You got a forest, which has been there for millions of years. And so you've got now,
Exactly.
And that's kind of all there is to focus on sometimes, and that's kind of beautiful.
Yeah. I would love to see the whole county be more present.
Yeah.
Because I think we got everything we need already. I wish people would come here and not see ruins, but see potential.
There are many other things that we could do here in the Appalachian Mountains that we could use that we're not using. We have trees in these mountains. We have rocks in these mountains. We have streams. We can raise trout. We can take the trees and build furniture. And that's the mentality that we have to grow, that we have to develop. You can make new decisions based on new information. And the information has not been imparted.
And that information you're talking about is the kinds of opportunities that exist right here.
Exactly.
Right in McDowell County.
Yes.
For a bunch of young people who might not know they exist. It seems like you're trying to help people go from a mindset of focusing on what they don't have to focusing on what they have right in front of them.
What they have in front of them and what they can be.
As soon as ATVs existed, people were riding them here. So you know what you're doing already.
Yeah, looks simple enough.
Yeah. These mountains, I mean, could you ask for a better playground?
I make my home in mountain people, my spirit flowing through their veins. My soul lives with them forever. Appalachian is my name. Oh, many years I've roamed these mountains. My life is older than the tree. You can hear my voice in the mountain music.
Oh, where are we now?
We're gonna walk up here and look over in the pit.
All right.
The mountain breeze.
They say the Appalachians are some of the oldest mountains on Earth. You know, that's why they're short.
That's why they're short and smooth.
Yeah. You can't find views like this down in the valley. You've got to come up here to see them.
Strangers come to tell my story. They think my mountain ways are strange. They're gonna tell the world all about me, but they can't even.
Is this a good spot?
Absolutely.
My man.
There's so much history. I mean, and you can find these on mountains everywhere.
Is that right?
Really, yeah.
1907.
1907.
While those who've been through it all are aware of the impact of the coal industry, they aren't quick to speak about the difficulties of the work, the environmental destruction, how the soot and dust they breathe wreck their lungs, or how they lost friends and loved ones in mining disasters. They prefer to talk about the positive aspects of such a difficult life, how they were united with a sense of community, mutual concern, friendship, and camaraderie that they'll reminisce warmly about for the rest of their lives. They helped build the United States into the most powerful, prosperous country in the world.
So much coal came out of here.
Almost all of it went to make steel back in those days, right?
Yeah. With the world wars, we needed steel for everything.
Aircraft carriers, destroyers, cannons,
all of it.
and then, of course, all the buildings that have been built.
Yeah.
New York City was probably built out of the coal that came out of this ground.
I would say. I would say a lot of cities in this country, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we live in the shadows of the mountains and the shadows of what we once were still casting on us, but I kind of think we just forgot that we are the descendants of some of the toughest people that ever lived. I always think about the Isaac Newton quote, "If I have seen further than others, it is because I stood on the shoulders of giants."
The real story here isn't about poverty. It isn't about the disappearance of the coal mines, and it's not about drug addiction. The real story I walk away with is that when people lose their wealth or other trappings of so-called advanced society, they can draw together as a family, set aside differences, and focus on what is most important to living a satisfying life: friendships, family, and togetherness. The term home has a stronger meaning in West Virginia than perhaps any place I've ever been. The many people I met here see each other not as black or white, rich or poor, but as fellow mountain people, survivors who proudly share a common human experience. The people here are linked by an extraordinary bond of loyalty, common struggle, and a sense of belonging that seems to lure them back from any place they might travel. I'm left surprised by what I found here. I found people that know much about the things that many have forgotten. They know they're not perfect and don't expect to be perfect. They place their faith in something much greater than themselves: God, love, and each other. Doing so eases their burdens and leaves them to feel a sense of contentment and joy, even in the midst of hardship, pain, and struggle. This place showcases beautifully the incredible power of the human spirit, camaraderie, cooperation, and the belief that love can triumph over incredible difficulty.